Hello traders, today we're going to be going back to Bookmap, but not the regular Bookmap Streets. Today we're going to be using Bookmap Web, which is a new service that Bookmap has released where we can actually, we don't even have to download it, we just get crypto assets here on the web. So I'm going to be linking this in the description below. And without further ado, let's dive into order flow. Alright traders, so let's go take a look at Bookmap Online, and specifically what I want to be taking a look at is we're going to be using the 1 month and the 1 week, which is order flow information of the past entire month, of the past entire week. Let's go look at patterns that occurred before the big Bitcoin pump to $11,000 and over, and learn some order flow. If you guys want any more help on medium-term, short-term, and longer-term order flow analysis, I recommend you go check out my 60 scenarios of order flow. It's a course that I made, and I will link in the description below. It's a course for Bookmap as well. Okay, let's go into it. Looking at the 1 week, I never really get to see this kind of order flow information, this detailed, because typically when I use Bookmap on the desktop, it is typically 3 to 4 days that I have of information that I've actually compiled and collected. This is a lot more. You can see just how much was going on in consolidation with limit orders, and then how that kind of shifted to just bids pushing price higher. Let's go to the 1 month and I'll show you. It's a lot of information that's loading on that 1 month. Trust me. And you can see all of that order depth that kind of just vanishes once the trend gets very, very, very strong. So let's go look at a little bit of what was going on before the pump. Let's see if it actually focuses. No? Okay. All right, so a little bit of analysis of what is going on. In my order flow course, I talk about, not to reveal too much, but whenever I look at order flow, I like to categorize limit orders into 2 categories. Really, it's old and new. So a new limit order is really when it has just been placed and it's fresh demand or fresh supply. An older limit order is a limit order that's been at a price level for quite some time and has not shifted. This right here at 9,400 just about is just old liquidity, which typically means that the longer limit order has been placed somewhere, the more likely its effect is already felt in the market, if that makes sense. And if it doesn't, then I recommend you go read a little bit more about how order flow operates. But new demand and new supply really has a much more powerful effect on price. So what we see here is that none of these orders that you see layered right here have been here before, right? They're not really there. There's nothing here. But then all of a sudden, after price pumps up, we see all of these limit buy orders being placed here. This is fresh demand, and price respects it and rises. Limit orders that have been respected, quote unquote, are limit orders that have not been executed on. So you can see that the bulk of this liquidity is not executed on by market sells, and that shows that it's quite strong. It's strong enough to have other people front run it, strong enough to have other people buy in front of it, right? So we see that price rises on that, and you can see that more of that kind of fresh demand is placed, and that is a very strong sign of an uptrend. If you would notice more market buys here than market sells, and you see all this fresh demand that's closer to price than any supply that's been placed, and you had bought at 9,500 and then you somehow got to sell in the 9,600s, that is 1.52% profit that you could have achieved just by looking at this kind of medium-term order flow. And this is really how I have been able to take some pretty good trades on Bitcoin, is just reading the order flow and looking at supply and demand in 2 ways. Supply and demand in market orders, which is, green versus red, green buys dominating, red sells dominating, and then just how new and old supply and demand, meaning new and old liquidity limit orders, interact with the market. And through that analysis, I'm able to predict price. Not always, but predict price with enough probability to put money on it. Now, what we see here again is this is another thing to look out for. This is a lot of demand. First of all, we see that the market buys are larger than the market sells, right? In this order flow, you can see that. Look at these market buys. They're actually quite strong. And the limit orders are just being very aggressive on the bid. So we can see that the only order, there's one order here that's placed. I think it's partially filled here, and then it's filled again right there or canceled. This just isn't that strong, and it's not that strong because it's not respected. First of all, it's filled. Second of all, there's a large amount of market buying near a stagnant limit order, which is not a great sign for that limit order. Typically, price just goes beyond it. We can see, bid placed here, bid placed here. This is all just quite bullish. Lots of bids layered in here. This is the typical sign, alongside a lot of market buys, that occurs before price does exactly that. I was like doing with my hand while price does that. This is what you look out for before a pump. If you want to know, well, how do I know when price is going to pump? We never do. But look at this demand. All of this demand is being respected. It is new. It's not some old, limit order, bid that's been there for 4 days. It's new. July 25th, we can see that this limit order is placed here, limit order placed here. Market buys are dominating over market sells. Now, if you just have that information by itself, well, I can assign with a higher probability. I'm not saying guarantee, but there's a higher probability that price is going to rise rather than fall, which means that putting money behind it is probably a wise idea. And this, buying anywhere in the 9700s or maybe upper 9600s, would have been excellent for that day. And you would have had that, had you held and price kept rising. Let's go look at what was happening as price was rising and do some order flow analysis. So it looks like, oh, geez. Okay, apologize for that, all that color there. That is a lot of color. Is this current? Oh, yeah, this is current. That's hilarious. Now we're on July 28th, which is the current date of this video that you were watching. I was like, why doesn't it go any farther? It's because we're in the current time. So it looks like there's just a lot more limit order activity going on because there's some consolidation, right? Let's go look at that. This was a great example. This is one I definitely wanted to show, guys. This is a sign of typically a market pump right before what happens to a pump. Check out this consolidation right here, okay? Let me zoom in on a bit more just to show you guys how important this is. Sorry for all the changing stuff. Buys are bigger than the sells here. We can see buys, market buys. Market buys are bigger than the sells in this kind of consolidation formation. There just isn't much offer depth anywhere above, but the bids are so aggressive. I mean, if we actually highlight and see what amount of money this is tens of millions of dollars just being placed, and pushing price higher. This would have been an excellent spot to buy because we see both factors of supply and demand are in our favor, limit order and market order. Now, something really kind of interesting happens for taking profit. So imagine that you bought here and you're looking for exit. Well, all of these bids are canceled right at around where the market topped out. And this is something, again, that I explained in my order flow course, but we can see that all of this demand is kind of pulled, right? And with all that demand pulled, where are the bids? They're gone, completely gone. And we then see some offers come in, and then we see this large sell-off. I probably would say, to be fully honest, the best place to get out would be here. Why? Well, we have consolidation, lots of offers, not many bids, price dumps, and then rises on not much market buying, back to consolidation where a lot of trap longs might be. This is where you sell. If you were scalping, and we can see if you had sold here, you would have sold at a good price. Now look at that. Look what just occurred. This was today, like what, a few hours ago? This is awesome. Just a few hours ago, we had this signal. All of this demand is placed, and I see a large market buy here. This offer isn't really being respected, and price rises right through it, right? And this is bullish. So these bids are still on. They haven't been upped. They haven't been placed any higher, but this, looks moderately bullish. So let's go look at the 1 day. Okay. And unfortunately, I didn't really find a way to refresh the page unless I actually Command R and refresh it. It says here the price is at 11,030 on my Bitcoin ticker. You guys can't see it, it's off the screen, but this says it's at like 11,050. So you know what? Let's go refresh this guy and look at the last 1 hour. Yeah, and there you go. So we can see what we got here, guys, is an offer wall that we're trying to crack. Oops, sorry. Let's go to the 1 day to see this. Yeah, so it looks like we have an offer wall that we're trying to crack, and we might actually probably end up cracking that. And it looks like price is just kind of consolidating around this level, and it looks like market buys are bigger than market sells, I would say. And this could be, we could go through 11,080. All right, guys, so that has been it for just a little bit of a bookmap analysis on their web version. So much to uncover from medium term, short term, and longer term order flow trading. I would highly recommend looking at both factors of supply and demand, looking at both limit order liquidity, and also looking at whether market buys or market sells are stronger. And if you want to go even more advanced, what you can also do is look at impact of buys and impact of sells. So what that means is just because market buys are stronger than market sells doesn't mean the price is going to rise because demand's high. what you want to see is how much price shifting happens after a market buy, how much price shifting happens after the market sells. If you see a period where there's a ton of market buys but prices doesn't really go anywhere, then a little bit of market sells allows price to just dump repeatedly. That's actually a bearish sign because it shows that the impact of the market sells is greater than the impact of the market buys, which is bearish. This is all covered in my course if you want to go check that out. I'm loving what Bookmap is doing, and right now I'm not. I can't really click on any of these. I think it might be frozen or something. There's no refresh on it, but I'm pretty confident that this source this page is going to get so much better, and probably is going to be one of the main tools that I use for analyzing Bitcoin. So without further ado, go take a look at this resource. If you guys have any questions on order flow or on what I talked about in the video about why price rose and why price falls, then you can go check that out, and we'll see what happens in recent order flow if we do end up cracking that offer that I saw at 11,080 on BitMEX. With that, happy trading. I'll see you guys in the next one.